Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and thanks for coming by the channel to check it out. Always appreciate it for that. And guys, today we're going to be talking about catfish and how they can help you catch more bass as far as when you catch a catfish, if you pay attention to some stuff. So I'm sort of going to give you guys my experience on catching them and how I relate that to catching more bass in today's video. Also guys, thank you very much everybody out there that has been taking the time to subscribe here to Intuitive Angling. If you haven't subscribed, I'd like to invite everybody to hit that subscribe button. It's free and easy, and you can unsubscribe at any time. And thank you very much for everybody that continues to support the channel through all the links that we put in the description. There's a lot of good ways to support Intuitive Angling if you want to do that by checking those links out. So much appreciated. Okay guys, if you look at that catfish in the thumbnail, I caught that yesterday at Lake of the Ozarks during the BFL tournament up there. I caught it on a crankbait, the same little crankbait I was catching my bass on. And I want to talk a little bit about when you catch catfish and sometimes drum, the same thing, what that really tells you about how you can take that information and relate it to your bass fishing. So first of all, one of the things you have to understand is when you're catching catfish, or drum or white bass or anything like that, especially when you're catching flatheads and blue cats, like that one that I was showing yesterday was a blue cat. If you're catching flathead catfish or blue catfish, you are in a good area, because flathead and blue catfish are predators, and they eat live food, and that they chase stuff just like bass do. And they're in particular areas because the bait fish are there. The crawdads are there, shad are there, the perch are there, whatever is in that particular area. Same with the drums. Drum's the same way. So when you're catching catfish or drum in between your bass, don't get upset about it, because that means you're in a good area if you're catching those other predatory fish. Now, the thing that I sort of relate to that is, like, if I'm catching fish on a crankbait or jig or moving bait, a crankbait or a moving bait like a chatterbait or spinnerbait, I pay close attention to that, because I have found that the mood and the personality of catfish and drum sort of like there's a tie-in with that mood and personality of the bass. So if I'm catching a catfish on a crankbait or something like that, that sort of gives me a good indication that those fish, for whatever reason that day, since they're predators, they want some type of a moving horizontally lure coming through the water column out there. So a lot of times, I stay with that if I'm catching them on it. And another thing, excuse me, if you start catching some catfish on a jig, or dragging a football head jig or tube or something like that, it's the same type of thing. It sort of gives you a direct correlation to the mood and the personality of the fish that particular day. Now, I'll give you a prime example. Yesterday, I was mixing it up between a jig and a crankbait, and I didn't catch any, rough fish, or call them rough fish. I didn't catch any catfish or drum on a jig or a shaky head or anything like that, but I did catch probably 4 or 5 drum, caught a couple white bass, caught that big blue cat on a crankbait, and that's also what I caught my bass on. I couldn't get the bass to touch a jig. Every time I came up to a piece of good shallow wood cover or good looking dock or something like that, I'd pitch my jig in there, never had a bite with it. So anytime that I catch, or if I'm consistently catching some drum or catfish, whatever lure that I'm using a lot of times that gives more confidence to stay with that particular lure for bass that given day. And also pay close attention to the depth that you're catching those drum and catfish, because most every single time the depth that you're catching catfish and drum in is going to be the same depth that you're going to catch your bass in. So anyway, guys, just don't get upset. Like I said, if you're catching those catfish and those drum and those white bass and whatever, see it as a good sign. See it that you're in a good area that's got the right cover, there's food in the area, even if you can't see it. It's a good thing to be catching other predators. So hope it helps out. See you guys.